Even when they win, they still lose. The Democratic Party has once again disappointed its supporters, who were energized after a series of election victories by capitulating to the Trump administration and ending the government shutdown. After a roller coaster week of highs and lows, are the Democrats any farther ahead than before? Welcome to the politics of New America. On the show today, the fallout of the November 4th elections, the deal to end the government shutdown, and the factory of disappointment that is the Democratic Party. I'm your host, Nathan Stone, and with me tonight is producer Josh Carmody.
Oh, they really snatched victory from the jaws of defeat, didn't they?
They sure did. And I had a very different show planned before everything with the elections and then this last-minute government shutdown, the 40 days, 40 nights of adrift. The government is coming back. And
it's fine, everybody. Josh Hartnett finally had sex. We're good.
It all went out the window because I feel like we just have to talk about the kind of ramifications here, both for the Democratic Party and for the Republican Party, and then writ large over America. So I think where we'll start off, we're going to start off with the good news for Democrats, which was the elections. The elections went very, very well for them, about as good as they could have hoped for, which is fantastic for a party that was really been kind of down and out and needs any kind of a win. If you weren't following them too closely, it was a smattering of state elections plus California's Prop 50 and the New York mayoral race. So a weird kind of mishmash of just off-year elections, which happens all the time, really, but one of the ones that people have paid more attention to. So this has kind of been the first bellwether after the Trump administration has come into power. And what we got was a snapshot of the American people still very angry, and now more angry at the Republicans and at Trump than at the Democratic Party. But even in this victory, I think there's still kind of some limits to how optimistic you want to feel if you're a Democrat. And I only say this for a couple of reasons, but so let's just hit on them. So Virginia was the governor. They were voting on the gubernatorial races. Mm-hmm. And so Abigail Spanberger won over Winsome Earl Sears. And this one was actually a flip. So it was the outgoing Republican governor chose to not run again. And so the Democrats were able to flip Virginia. Virginia does tend to go back and forth like this. It's kind of a purple state.
Yeah.
And so this isn't totally a surprise, but 57% Spanberger got, which is a strong showing for that, right? Anything kind of above that 55% rating is generally a pretty solid margin of victory, right? You think, 50 to 40 something is close, but it's not really in most American politics, right? If you want to say an election was close, you really want to say like, oh, it was 51 to 49, it was 52 to 48. 57 to 42 and a half, 43 is a pretty solid showing. And so that
potentially
was
like a few 100,000 people, I'm assuming, like at that point, or I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was actually almost 500,000.
Yep.
So yeah, exactly. So she flipped that riding. She's also, I believe, the first female governor of Virginia. So nice. Congratulations to her for that. Her opponent was also a female. So no matter who won that one, that was going to happen.
Sort of a win-win, I guess.
Yeah. So we also had New Jersey, where we had Mickey Sherrill defeat Jack Citarelli. And so this was kind of an interesting one because of the way that the votes broke.
And which
So
state was this again? Sorry.
this is New Jersey.
This is New Jersey. Okay.
Yeah, New Jersey, pretty heavily blue state, you would say, both stateside and federally. So this isn't a big surprise, but the GOP had actually been making some fairly large gains, and they had higher hopes for this election, of kind of finally breaking through. And what we saw was voters rejecting that, but also we've seen some demographics that have shifted from the Democrats to the Republicans. So Latino men, for example, being a really big one, who voted en masse for Trump and were a big part of why he won, seemingly shifting back now to the Democratic Party, which is something that they desperately need to happen. And seeing that happening in New Jersey is kind of fueling some optimism that this is going to be a wider trend going forward. So again, a bit of good news there. It was also 56.6%, Mickey Shirelli, that she got over Jack Citarelli. He was at 42.8%, and a difference of somewhere in the range of 500,000 votes again. So again, a solid victory here. And looking at those two state elections, I think what we want to take away from them is not so much the Democrats won, which we would expect, especially in a year, after you have a party take the White House, right? Generally, that administration, there's blowback, right, in the next election. There's
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in like such a big majority. Everyone's just like, wait a second, and yeah, it's voting the other way.
Exactly, right. So we expect this from from these types of elections. So the outcome is less interesting really than how it was done and the level of these victories, right? The fact that none of these elections were close. If you were watching them on TV, most of the pollsters kind of called it right after the polls closed. It wasn't ever really in doubt. And so that's what you want to hold on to if you're a Democrat. And you think, okay, well, you know what? We won these and we won these handily. And that's about as good as you can ask for. So then we kind of shift focus here, because then we have two very, very different votes, but also very interesting. Hitting on New York, Mamdani. I don't know why I struggle with that. Zoran Mamdani, taking 50.4% of the votes. So he defeated Andrew Cuomo, who was running as an independent, because, of course, Mamdani took the Democratic nomination from him. So has now beat him twice. And Curtis Silwa, who is the GOP candidate.
Everyone's crazy uncle. Everyone's like, because wasn't it like he got like assaulted or something? Like, did he not get like shot? And that was kind of like his big,
I think that was,
image
yeah.
thing. Like, he's just like a crazy uncle, like ripping stories. But the fact that like even if you took away all his votes, it's still Mamdani still would have won. Is pretty friggin' wild.
Yeah, and so this was again a pretty solid victory, right? So 9 percentage points over Cuomo, and when you think about everything that the Democratic Party has done to distance themselves from and throw doubt on Mamdani, everything they've done to not support him through this, it's pretty vindicating, I think, for the progressive wing of the party. But it really highlighted the fact that the Democrats as a big tent party are just a mess internally. And once we get to the shutdown thing, that'll be highlighted even more so. But
yeah,
with Mamdani, I think what I would say is I wish him the absolute best. I think he's an incredible candidate. I worry about him just because his own party has been so now not everyone in his party obviously, but a lot of the senior Democrats have been very, very against him. A lot of, oh, well, of course, all Republicans, and so much of the people that he has to work with, right? That he has to break bread with, that he has to have relationships with. There's so many people that would love to see him fail, because of his politics, because he's a democratic socialist. There's going to be
well, you can't even talk about him on the Democratic subreddit. It's against the rules because he's a democratic socialist to talk about him on the Democratic Party subreddit. They delete
That's
all
wild.
of the posts.
I had no idea. But this is
as
what
soon
I'm
as
saying.
he won, they were gone. Yeah.
There's no shortage of people waiting to dance on his grave as a politician, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he has to, not only does he have a mountain to climb because New York's got a lot of issues, the big one, of course, being that a lot of its residents can't afford to live there, but he has to do it in the face of unprecedented pushback from not only, the opposition, but his own party. And you want to talk about, draining the swamp and the deep state and everything. This is the kind of thing where he has no friends in almost any direction, unfortunately. And
despite this Cinderella story and perfect defeat that he has against a guy who is committed sexual assault.
Yeah.
He did what they couldn't do in November of last year. He defeated a candidate who was convicted of sexual assault. And they were, I don't think ever fully supported him, at least not up into the Chuck Schumer ranks. He avoided the question. I mean, you have AOC is on his side, Bernie Sanders is on his side. AOC is definitely a great get for him in terms of that, because
absolutely.
She's kind of a similar story of a populist candidate. I mean, obviously has a very different power set when it comes to what she's able to do as an elected official. And I think also because she's a woman, that she was largely ignored until it was too late. She got fucking elected, So I think that was the kind of, they were like, oh, fuck. Yeah. So now she's here. But I think it's good that there's at least been those people who are so front and center and constantly talked about every day are on his side. But I don't really know who else is there on his side. I know of some of the people who aren't. But yeah, there's definitely some people who are maybe still sitting there that should speak up.
It's incredible that I think the United States is honestly the only liberal democracy in the world where you would have this kind of incredible pushback against what is, quite frankly, as far as a socialist goes, a very moderate socialist.
Yeah.
He wouldn't raise an eyebrow here in Canada if he was a member of the New Democratic Party, for example, or in the UK under the Liberal Democrats, that kind of thing, right? And there's plenty of socialist parties in Europe as well, right? This is a uniquely American visceral reaction to a guy who campaigned on stuff that if a normal Democrat, just a normal liberal Democrat had said it, people would be like, yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Good candidate, right? It's this fear of, now it of course doesn't help that he's a Muslim and that's scary to a lot of people, but everything that he's preaching in terms of affordability, rent control, these kind of things are just populist, progressive policies, right? He's not threatening to build, the New York borough wall around the city and post guards and stuff, right? He's not turning this into East Germany. He's just trying to address some concerns. But I think the most important thing about his election, other than that I am very scared for him politically, is that this is a perfect playbook for Democrats. affordability is such a huge issue, and it's a huge issue everywhere, but in the United States, it's only getting worse, especially now that Senate Dems have folded on the government shutdown without getting what they wanted, which was guarantees that the Affordable Care Act subsidies would be held over, right? Things are just getting more and more and more expensive. So you have a candidate that comes in and says, this is my goal. We need people to be able to live in this city. And that's not too much to ask. And so his whole platform is around making New York affordable for the working class. And this is a gift. This is a gift for the Democrats, right? This is a guy who is extraordinarily popular amongst their progressive wing, a wing that they have been basically repressing for the past 20 years. And this is a guy that you can just take his policies and you can put these together at a federal scale. You can do things that work on a nationwide level. This is a gift. Please take it, Democrats. But
as I said in the last episode, but then we can't steal $500,000 from one program and give it to a billionaire.
That is the one downside.
How could we not give that $500,000? Obviously, there's far more money at stake, but I do think it is good to illustrate that sometimes it does come down to that amount of money, like less than millions.
Yeah.
We are handing over, like, in small transactions, $500,000 to a billionaire instead of spending it on something that the people need.
That's not even pocket change to a billionaire, right? Like, that's not even a rounding error for them. It's so incredible. There's never enough. There's just never enough to feed those needy billionaires.
Yeah. And Musk is now going to be a trillionaire.
Well, yes, because that was the next logical step there.
Right? Yeah. Let's give this dude a trillionaire. I mean, he clearly can't afford the hernia belt, so he needs to get one of those. So I guess, everything's going up in America, so I don't know what a hernia belt runs for these days, but I guess he needs the cash.
Yeah, I don't know if Tesla's going to be around long enough. Can a meme stock last that long to make Musk a trillionaire?
It's hard to say. I mean, I think they just know something we don't know, and that's, market manipulation, ultimately. I mean, hey, if Nancy Pelosi's retiring, that's sell. That's all I can say. Because I've heard talk that she might be. I don't know if that's
yes, she is.
She definitely is. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, what, especially in terms of Democrats that are not on your side. This is a person who's been trading stocks for years. None of them should be allowed to do that. I don't care what party you're with. that's a no-no.
I mean, this is basic corruption 101. It's honestly it's something that maybe we should talk about on the show someday. But this is the fact that they are able to hold and sell and trade stocks while in office is absolutely ludicrous, considering they're just swimming in insider information.
Yeah.
And
it almost makes Trump seem like a chaos whistleblower, where he's just I'm just going to commit as much illegal stuff as I can in public and see what happens, because he does public market manipulation. There's things that we see, it was a Friday would hit and he's well, weekend's coming, better fuck with everything. You can look at it and watch it happen in real time, and you're telling me people like Nancy Pelosi weren't also privy to things like that, but just subtler.
Yeah,
stupid.
And you've given me a great segue though, because
awesome. Yeah. I thought I was just ranting.
one of the things that this election did was send some Republicans spiraling. And
there was that. Yeah.
There was some spiraling, but there was some important bits there too. And one of the themes that we've had on this show so far is that this generation of Republicans, modern Republicans, cannot help but to tell you what they're thinking and what they're going to do. You just kind of have to listen to them. And I think the most jarring one for me was probably Steve Bannon. I don't know if you heard.
Oh,
his...
I'm fairly certain I know what you're going to talk about. Yeah, Steve
Yeah.
Bannon doesn't. I don't know if he talks that much, but every time he seems to, it's always on a big stage, and he always says the craziest shit.
Yeah. Well, Steve Bannon, and to be, I guess, fair to Steve Bannon, he is someone who has had a lot of success in terms of, pushing his worldview on the Republican Party and getting the way that he sees the United States government running, having that kind of influence, right? He is a very influential figure.
Central in the first Trump administration. That's why I kind of feel like I feel like he isn't quite as close to them now, but seems to be as well.
The best way I would describe him is honestly like a deep state Republican.
Oh,
like
boy.
he has his fingers in all the pies, but
Yeah.
he is a step back, right, from I think the day to day. But he basically came out and said, "Hey, if this trend continues, if we lose these elections," and he was of course speaking on a stage, a lot of people in this room, including myself, are going to jail. And I thought that was just such an incredible thing to say, because in a saner world, that would have been front page news just everywhere and anywhere. And it did get a lot of media coverage, but again, it just kind of part of the circus that is our lives. But this is a big concern for Republicans, because a lot of the things that they are doing, and I include the president in this, are both very questionably legal and in many cases blatantly unconstitutional, and they have been protected from any sort of repercussions from this by controlling all three houses of the government, right? And so if they lose one, it's not the end of the world, right? They're still going to have the Supreme Court for God knows how long. And the Senate
Yeah.
is very difficult for Democrats. And the basic reason behind that, if you're wondering why the Senate tends towards Republican majorities over Democrat majorities, is that the Senate is the one place in the United States where land can vote, right? So what I mean by that is, look at a map of the United States, any election. There's a big chunk of the country in the middle that's just all red all the time. The problem is you get 2 senators from each state regardless of population. So 40 million people in California get 2 senators, and like all 4 people in Wyoming also get 2 senators. So 2 of them are senators.
All
I guess.
4 of them.
Yeah.
Jim Bob, Bob Jim, Jimmy Joe, Lauren.
That's Senator Jimmy Joe.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah. Oh man, it's family against family running for Senate there.
It gets nasty. So there's a structural advantage for Republicans in the Senate because it takes the rural parts of America and gives them more representation than the more populated urban centers. And so it's very hard for the Democrats to get Senate majorities. Now, they do from time to time. It's not unheard of. I think Obama had a Senate majority for one of his terms. But that structural advantage exists. The House, of course, is on razor-thin margins. So the House could flip any given election to any, party. But if the Republicans, right, if this is a drubbing, right, at midterms in 2026, if the Republicans lose the House, then Trump becomes a bit of a lame duck because he needs Congress's approval for most of his, legislative agenda. And a Democratic Congress is not going to allow him to do all of the weirdo stuff that he's been doing and ignore Congress's authority. If he loses both, then things get really interesting because then actual honest to God impeachment becomes possible. And if that's the case, and there was, I think Bannon as well as a few other Republicans were beating on about this after the election, that the Democrats could end the Trump presidency in 2026 if he is impeached. And I don't want to spoil this for anyone who hasn't been paying a lot of attention. There's a lot of impeachable offenses that Trump has opened himself up to. Numerous conflicts of interest, whatever the crypto thing is, the jet from Qatar, the
Qatar. I think it is Qatar.
Is it Qatar or Qatar?
I think it's Qatar.
I go back
Pretty
and
sure
forth.
it's Qatar, yeah.
Qatar, okay. So like there's just so many possibilities here. And all of this comes at a time when, you know, the Republicans up until basically today had just the worst week, right? Because they lose these elections. California passes Prop 50, which is the congressional redistricting. And
yeah, take that, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's right. That was kind of the keystone of his time as governor too. And yeah, so that's gone now. And you know what? I understand it. I realize you have to fight fire with fire. I still don't like it because what they have voted yes to is, in essence, and quite literally, voter suppression for redrawing these districts. And that hurts American democracy. However, American democracy doesn't live in a nice neighborhood anymore, right? It is in crazy town. And what are you going to do, right? This is kind of a fight or get beat up situation.
Yeah. Look, if you can buy that cheap house on the crack street, knowing that eventually gentrification's coming for your ass, but like you're gonna own a gun the whole time. The other thing I will say about Prop 50 is there are time limits and stipulations, so it does come back up as a decision for the people whether or not to keep it very quickly in regards to like something like this that's being passed. So it's not a blanket thing that lasts forever. And I mean, I guess that really just goes as far as your trust in the government. But it was part of the vote was that it's not a forever solution and that it can be repealed by the people's decision. So
and I think that's a good compromise because what California had, which was an independent congressional redistricting kind of committee, is what should be going on everywhere, right? That was a really good model, and you want to get back to that if we get back to saner times. So yeah, this could add up to 5 Democratic seats in the House, which is a lot, and could really swing the balance of power in the House of Representatives. So really, really bad week for Republicans there. Also, one thing that I'll just touch on hasn't been decided yet, but Trump's tariffs have reached the Supreme Court. And surprisingly, the Supreme Court feels pretty negatively about Trump's tariffs. And if the Supreme Court finds that the tariffs are unconstitutional, which I think that seems to be where the mindset of enough judges is, then we get into just an absolutely wild time of the federal government being forced to refund these tariffs. And that is going to be the biggest mess you have ever seen. So it's also such a huge part of Trump's policy that this is going to politically look very, very bad. So that's coming up as well. So the Republicans went very quickly from being this unstoppable juggernaut as a political force to kind of being on the back foot here. And the thing that was really sticking to them was the government shutdown. And Democrats had to make this. It's an awful choice. It really is. Because they had to choose to keep fighting, right, for the benefits that people need for Medicare, while at the same time keeping the government shut down, which meant that people were suffering through the through the lack of government programs like SNAP and all sorts of other supports. And
not that, like, not having food any time of the year sucks, but the optics of depriving people of food in the month of November in America, a country that more or less treats Thanksgiving bigger than Christmas to the point that they would fight themselves about which one's bigger, is a hard thing to try and stick to. Yeah. Not saying they should have gave up, but it's rough.
It is rough. And I do have some sympathy there for Senate Democrats in a very, very tough situation. However,
they fucked up.
Here's the thing. The Republican Party is not a party for the working class. It is not a party that concerns itself with the woes of the regular American. It just doesn't. That's not who they represent. So the Democrats had an opportunity here. And it's that death of opportunity. They had just won against Trump. The Republican Party's on the back foot. They've lost these elections. They lost Prop 50. They look like they're going to lose in the Supreme Court, and Trump's tariffs are going to be dismantled. That is the biggest win the Democrats have had, since the Biden presidency. And to fold now, and I understand that people are suffering, and like I really do get that is a legitimate and real concern. But by folding to the Republicans here, they haven't won any concessions other than the Senate will vote on the ACA subsidies. But of course the GOP holds a majority, so there's no guarantee that they get anything from that, right? There are some Republicans that may vote with them, but again, that might not be enough.
It's a pick your poisons situation.
It's enduring the suffering
you either
now.
Don't eat, or instead of paying $100 for your medical stuff, you're paying $1,000.
Yeah, and it was the way that it should have been sold was an act of solidarity, suffering now for a better future, and that could have worked because for one particular reason, the Republicans were wearing this, right? They had been calling it the Democratic shutdown. That hadn't been working. It's hard to sell that to the people when you control all three rungs of the federal government, right? That these bad Democrats made you shut it down. People weren't buying that, and it was hurting them, and it was starting to really hurt them. And if they could have made it a little bit longer, right? When people don't have Thanksgiving dinners, air traffic collapses which was happening in almost real time. And like, these are horrible things. But the pain, you're going to feel it either way. That's the killer with this, is the Republicans are going to gut the services that you love, and you will lose them and you will feel pain. Or you take this principled stand and feel pain, but maybe win. And that's what they've given up. And it's so disappointing from a party that is just so frequently disappointing, and a party that had, for the first time, easily the first time that we've ever talked about on this show, had some real momentum, had some real positive energy associated with it, had a sense of hope and optimism for the first time since Trump took office. And now we're just back at, we've wasted everyone's time. We've made a lot of people suffer. Yeah, and we've pissed into the wind. So what this was a bipartisan bill that was passed, bipartisan, but it was a bill that was passed by the House, and House Republicans passed it, not House Democrats. But it became a bipartisan bill when 8 Democratic senators stepped in to vote with it to pass it in the Senate. And to his small credit, Chuck Schumer did not vote with the Republicans for once. He voted no. However, now there's a lot of calls for his head within the Democratic Party, and this could be the beginning of the end for Schumer, which I think Democrats should probably be ecstatic about, if not over the moon. He has been, of all the disappointing Democrats, maybe the most. I don't know. Nancy Pelosi could give him a run for his money, I suppose.
Oh, they're hand in hand. Yeah. That's they're they're the poster children. They're on the propaganda poster, like holding each other's hands up with jets flying over. Like they're on that.
Oh, absolutely.
But I mean, it sounds weird, but this is a time for a civil war in the Democratic Party. Like, you want to stand for something? Now's your chance.
Absolutely. And that's a good point, because we've seen there's strength in the progressive movement in the Democratic Party. People are responding to that. Like, again, Zoran gave you the playbook to win. He did. It's very easy. So, oh my God!
You said
did
Zohan,
I say,
like the.
Did I say Zohan? Oh
yeah. No! Hey, you don't mess with the Zoran.
Yeah. So he gives you this beautiful playbook, this beautiful progressive policy playbook. Take it and run with it. You have to remake this party. No one is interested in the classic liberal corporate Democrat who's, there to
plays
make
the
Washington
saxophone
work.
And tries to fuck his interns.
Exactly.
It's not cool anymore. It's not cool anymore, guys.
Although, I will say, it's the economy stupid still applies, but you just switch that out for it's affordability stupid, and you're there. That's the program. But yeah, so anyway, this agreement that they've come to, so it funds it funds parts of the government, specifically the food aid, SNAP, veterans programs, the legislative branch, among some other things. And all other funding will be extended until the end of January. So that will give them a little over 2 months, not including Christmas breaks and stuff, to finish additional spending bills to keep the government running, right? So this is the sad thing about all of this, is that we don't solve government shutdowns in the United States. What they do is get together and kick the can as far as they can, and then we do it all over again 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year later, right?
Yeah, the problem is when both parties are like so obsessed with money, they're showing up with a new set of golf clubs. We ain't kicking that can. We're fucking bringing out the 4-wood, knocking that thing straight down the fairway.
So nothing has been solved here in terms of actual agreements on the budget. What we've decided is, oh no, we actually need the federal government that do a lot of really important stuff. So let's fund that until the next time we're really mad at each other and we can't reach an agreement on spending. And not to put too fine a point on it, but it's this kind of dysfunction that causes it's not a symptom. It is a cause of this inability of the United States to take consistent long-term action, to really plan for the future, because everything is done on almost this corporate quarterly, every 3 to 4 months, things have to get redone, budgets have to get redone. This isn't normal amongst liberal democracies. This isn't how liberal democracies function properly. And the longer that this goes on, the longer that you have, this can kicking down the road with budgets and things, the worse and worse your services are going to get, because you can't plan ahead. You can't plan for making equipment upgrades. You can't plan like 5-10 years in the future to head off problems that you see coming down the road. This is the kind of stuff that declines are made of, national declines. And so there's a lot here to not like about this government shutdown, and the result here. It's not entirely, of course, on the Democrats. It mostly isn't, but their capitulation here has put the party in a worse place than it was before all of this started, because they wasted a lot of time, did a lot of damage was done to the federal government, and we made history that this is the longest shutdown ever.
Woo! Yay, capitalism!
But we gained nothing. We gained nothing from it, except that a lot of people suffered, now seemingly needlessly.
Yeah.
So this leaves us in a spot where the Democrats had the initiative for a week, forfeited it again, but there's still a lot of things to be hopeful. If you're a progressive, if you're a supporter of the Democrats, or if you just think the Democrats are the better of two bad options, the Supreme Court, of all places, might throw you the biggest win of the year if they strike down Trump's tariffs. We've talked about IEEPA on the show, Trump's emergency powers that he uses to levy these tariffs. And if those are curtailed, that is going to do such a number on Trump's ability to govern by emergency action. And that is desperately needed to rein in the power of the executive. So I guess get out your little Supreme Court flags, little number one foam things, and grab some popcorn and hope that somehow, in some way, the Supreme Court decides that maybe giving Trump every single power wasn't the best idea, and maybe they need to rein that in a little bit. So you do have things to be hopeful for. And you know what? We'll end on a good note and say, if you are one of the 42 million Americans, the 1 in 8 Americans, the 1 in 5 children who relies on food aid to make, yourself and your family, to give them the nutrition that they need, to give them the food that they need, that's coming back, and that's a positive. Either, despite the Democrats not doing what we wanted them to do, what we needed them to do, that's still a bonus, and that it's coming back in time for American holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, where, you just want to get together and feel good with friends and family. That's something. That's something.
Gotta eat to stay healthy. Gotta stay healthy to stay out of the hospital, because trust me, you're not going to be able to afford it come next year.
No, you're not.
And that's kind of the other side of it. So,
yeah.
But I do agree with Nathan. It is it would be too easy for us to sit here and just be like, oh, those bastards that they all caved. And look, they're still bastards. Fuck Tim Kaine. He can fucking eat. He can eat a big one. They're that's just the one name of the 8 that did it. So I'm just no, they had nothing to lose. None of them are up for any re-election anytime soon. They're a complete burn for them to do this. And there just doesn't seem to be there's no way to like back up the way that the MAGA does onto just being like, no, it's got to be 5D chess. They must be playing 5D chess. Like, no, they don't. They just were like, oh crap, oh we have donors too. Blah.
Yeah.
And that being said, like, yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh well, this was the worst fucking thing ever. No, it is good that those people got their food back. I mean, we were clearly very sympathetic to it on the last episode, posted a bunch of resources. I'm glad people are going to be able to eat this Thanksgiving in America. It's a good thing, regardless of who you voted for.
And for all those federal employees that weren't getting paychecks, get your back pay, have a good Thanksgiving.
Soldiers lined up at food banks and stuff like that. Like it was crazy. So it's like, this is good that it's at least moving forward, but they've really set you up for a real hard push. And so get ready for that. So, more elections I'm sure are coming up that you really want to be involved in, and some other things. And, and there's been a couple other wins. The Supreme Court decided not to overturn gay marriage. Mm-hmm. I'm a little cynical. I think that they only decided not to overturn gay marriage because of the other thing that they overturned. Because as you were saying, that's going to cost a shitload of money. Guess like overturning the tariffs, which they might do, costs a shitload of money. Guess how much money and clerical bullshit you're going to have to go through if you overturn gay marriage.
I hadn't thought about that. Years of
clerical bullshit. Like insane. But I mean, maybe they'll do it because he'll be like, look, I create jobs. We divorce the gays. You can come get a job. We need more Kim Davises in our life. We need more of them. They're willing to have 3 husbands. I've had 3 or 4 wives myself. I call it divorce polygamy.
All right. Well, you know what? I think we're gonna call it there for this week.
Yeah.
Just an interesting little trip through the news and what might occur because of these things. But one thing we do want to mention before we go is that we are going to be taking a break here until the New Year's. We're going to be looking at some new fun ways to bring you the show and some different things to try out, and so that should be really
some guests, more guests. We had Gabby. Gabby, I think we probably should have planned a better episode for someone with an international development degree, but she was still fun nonetheless, and I missed working with her on a video call where the 3 of us worked together. So it was nice to get the gang back for that one. But my God, an hour and 17-minute episode for P&A, really long. Also, that was just what I edited it down to. We went off. But maybe some more guests, some different ways to bring things. And over this next little bit, if anything truly bananas crazy happens, we'll definitely be jumping in for like a little update episode. So we're not completely going away. Show's not canceled or anything. There's clearly, if you follow most Haunted Mouse stuff, you'll notice that this is essentially a radio station in the 1930s, and there's 8 of us. Just real cross-pollination happening here.
Absolutely.
So we have lots of other things we have to do, but we're still going to be popping in, and then I would say towards the end of January you will have us back in full force.
If you absolutely need to hear my voice, and I understand if you do, check out the Bedtime Storybook. Very much nothing like this podcast, which is
very
nice.
soothing.
A very soothing, classic children's stories done with beautiful music and effects, and just a very nice, calm time. And we could all use that, I think. So
if you want to hear me more, and hear me swear in ways that you didn't know was possible, you can go check out BoobTube. I'm the producer on that, so I'm often kind of a side voice to the show. And also one of our upcoming shows that I don't know if we've maybe talked about it a little bit. It's called Sick Society. So the first inkling of Sick Society is going to be happening on Boob News, where the co-hosts one of the hosts, I guess. I don't know how you want to say it. I don't want to put anyone above anyone else. But one of the co-hosts of the new podcast that's coming next year, Sick Society, Alexis Payton, she is going to be on Boob News talking about the kind of different, bunk medical advice and things that are on reality TV, and giving us her insights. And she's very smart and is a doctor, has a doctorate, and is a university professor. So
she does know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
And check out Sick Society. In the new year, we're going to give you plenty of notice and plenty of advertising for that. But that show talks about all of the things in our world outside of the medical field and outside of your control that seriously affect our health and how we live and how we move through the world and whether or not, we live to 60 or to 80. And absolutely check that one out. It's going to be
good one to listen to. Yeah, not a you need to use crystals like frou-frou health thing. No, actual doctor stuff going on here about how you should be treating yourself. So very good. But
Yeah, so a little bit of a look forward, but thank you so much, whether this is your first episode or if you've listened to all of our episodes.
You psychopath. You absolute psychopath who listens
glutton
to all
for
these.
Punishment.
Just sitting there being like, I remember when it was about the Smithsonian.
Yeah. Oh, man, that was saner times back in the spring. But yeah, we do appreciate you, and I hope you have a lovely holiday season, whether that's Thanksgiving, Christmas, any and all of the holidays that fall under the next couple of months, and we will see you in the new year.
Hit up some Yule stuff.
Oh, I love Yule stuff.
Gotta go to the beach and watch the sun come up or something. I don't know what witches do.
All right, folks. Thanks again, and we'll see you next year.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, give us a 5-star rating on your podcast platform of choice, and tell all your friends. The Politics of New America is hosted by Nathan Stone and produced by Josh Carmody. You can follow us on Blue Sky at Politics New America. This episode is sponsored by Leverage Assistance. Finding the right assistant can turbocharge your career, your business, and give you back precious time every day. Finding the right person isn't easy, and that's where Leverage Assistance comes in. They take care of every step in the process of matching you with a top-performing assistant that understands you and your business. Leverage only hires the best of the best, the top 1% of executive assistants, to pair with their clients. They also do regular feedback and productivity checks to make sure that you are completely satisfied with the match. Find out what having elite help can do for your productivity with Leverage Assistance. Follow our referral link in the show notes of this episode to get started.
This has been a Haunted Mouse production. Cut that out.